Hi, ladies. I am running a little bit late. I apologize. I know I said I was going to come on here right at 11 Central, and I'm just about 20 minutes past. So I'm super sorry. Today has been a little bit of a whirlwind. But how are you? How are you? So I am really excited about this conversation. I don't even know how long this is going to go. I'm just going to kind of flow because I don't know if you remember or not, but a while back I had put out a poll and I was just asking, what kind of topics are you guys interested in? What kind of information do you want to learn more about? What subjects, are exciting for you right now or would be beneficial? Anyways, so I put this poll out there, and I think I had thought, you were going to want to hear more about self love and confidence. And it's not that those didn't get votes, but the things that really popped up the most were kind of centered around business and entrepreneurship, as well as money and money mindset and attracting abundance. So I was super excited, but I was also a little bit nervous because I was like, I'm not trying to be a money manifestation coach, but I will tell you, as I have been on this entrepreneur journey and I've been diving deeper into, my conversation with myself. I've been diving deeper into alignment with myself and understanding myself, who I am, my mission, really doing the deep inner work. Abundance has started to flow in. And so it's funny because when I work with people, they end up it ends up being a manifestation kind of program at the end because stuff starts to flow in that they've been trying really hard to receive and earn for years. So I wanted to share some ideas and some things that I've personally been doing in my own life to start attracting in more abundance, and that have not only helped myself but my clients, and that I think regardless of where you're at, your situation, your job, whatever, this can work for you too if you actually really take it into heart and don't fight the information, don't try to question it, just really hear it for what it is. And then I will also say rewatch this and understand that this information is going to hit you in layers. So it's not always going to, what you hear initially is not always going to be what you really resonate with later. It's going to, hit you later. So what I'm basically trying to say is rewatch this a few times because this is stuff that I have been doing and learning for a couple of years now. Like since I started my business, I'm into my third year and it's just now starting to click. So I want you to understand that if you're feeling really stuck right now, you're feeling kind of lost, you're feeling like, man, I'm like trying to manifest and nothing is working. Know that it's because you're trying to force something, first of all. Second of all, it's gonna take time because another thing, this is like a bonus bonus point that I'm gonna share, is that nothing can come in that you are not aligned to. So if you were trying to force something, like you could have this pile of money that's like waiting to come to you. But if you're like impatient about it and you're like, oh, when is it coming? When is it coming? Well, you know what you're doing? You're pushing it further away. So you have to get to a place where you are in alignment to receive. And I know that sounds kind of woo woo, but I think you ladies, I think you guys can handle it. But yeah, so that's a key point is like not being in resistance to the thing you want and also being in alignment. But that's not even one of the points I'm here to share. But basically, the reason that I asked you guys previously about what topics you want to learn more about, hear about, kind of discuss, is because I really believe that empowered women live better, happier lives. Like you just do because you walk different. You feel more confident. You love yourself, and because you are the source, you attract in all these awesome things, right? So yeah, I want you to live better. I want you to live in a way that lights you up. And so I think the more information you have on subjects that actually matter, and that matter to you, right? Like I care about what matters to you, the more that you just live an empowered life. So, because information is key, but then it's also doing stuff with information is what actually creates the empowerment, right? So you've got to kind of do both. But anyways, so, like I said, I don't know how long this is going to go, but I'm just going to keep chatting with you, girl chatting, and sharing my info. So I wrote down 4 key things that I've been doing that have been allowing the abundance and money to just flow in. Because really quick to back up, you guys, before I started my business, I didn't even realize how bad my relationship with money was. I didn't even know. I just knew that I lived paycheck to paycheck, even though I was making 6 figures. I felt really angry about the topic. A lot of the like anytime people would talk about it, I'd see success. It wasn't that I wasn't happy for them, but I felt really triggered because I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I do this too? Like, how come they're over here thriving and I'm over here like suffering, you know? But what I learned is that once I really broke down my understanding of what my beliefs were about money, and then I started to allow myself to build a better relationship with it over time, it started to heal. And now I actually love talking about money, which is why, even though I'm not claiming to be a money manifestation expert, there have been things that have really helped me and clients that now I feel like, you know what, I can come on here and share this with you. So that's what I'm doing. So anyways, so the first thing, and actually if I'm looking down, it's because I wrote it out, because I was like, I really want them to know like really what I've been doing. So if I'm looking down, it's because I'm like going through what I wrote here. So yeah, let's get to it. Also, if you're here, I can't see you, but please feel free to chime in, comment, say your name. I would love to, you know, connect with you. And also, if you have questions, you know, let's freeball this. Like, if you have questions, I'm here to answer them for you as well. So it's not just me preaching, but whatever questions you have. And if you catch the replay and you have questions, feel free to comment later, and I'll get back to you for sure. Okay, so the first thing is, we cannot create abundance or change anything, you know, if we aren't even aware of what we want, right? We have to observe first. We have to first understand like what is our money story? What do we even have? You know, giving acknowledgement to what we have, and then getting super clear on what we want. So I don't know if you've ever done this, but you need to get, like, if you've never thought about how much you want to make, regardless of if it feels like a crazy number, write it down. Write it down, because there is power in writing stuff out, not just speaking it, although the vibration of your voice is powerful, but writing down what you want. So sometimes too, you'll notice if you write a number down that you want, it can feel uncomfortable, because it's like, ooh, I've never actually faced that before. I've never actually seen that number out on paper. So giving yourself the opportunity to write it. Now, I did another really interesting exercise with somebody. I was working with a coach last year, and he had us do this money visualization exercise. And he would go through it, and he'd be like, okay, like, think about a number you want to make. And then he'd be like, now double it. And then he did that like 3 more times. He's like, okay, now double that. Now double that. And I'm telling you, I was getting into numbers that I never even spoke out loud. And it showed me how uncomfortable I was with the idea of abundant money, because when you start to do money mindset work, you realize it is limitless. I don't know who talked about a pie in the sky, but there's no limit to money. It's just energy. It is just energy. And so, you know, it's interesting how much we limit ourselves by even not allowing ourselves to flow into like an imagination of what we think we can have. So the first and foremost thing you could ever do, if I could sum all that up, is get really clear on the number you want. That step alone can take a little bit of time, because you have to start questioning yourself. You have to understand, like, do I feel safe with that money? Why do I want that money? What would I do with that money when I have it? And just so you know too, just saying because I want it, because I'm a good person and I deserve it, that is enough of a reason. But that also takes work, right? Do you really believe you're worthy? Do you really love yourself and know that you are a good steward with the money that you desire? You know, building that relationship with yourself, which is why, you know, for a long time before I really got into career help with people, you know, I was preaching self-love, and that's the foundation of everything. You know, unfortunately, that doesn't always resonate with people because they're not understanding that that's the foundation that creates everything that you want. Like, you have to know you are the source. Whatever you desire, you are the source. You have to take care of you first. So when you're getting clear and you're trying to understand, like, what would I do with that money? Also understand, do you feel worthy of it? Do you feel, you know, like you know what you would do with that money? Do you have a plan for your money? Do you even know how money works? Just asking these questions is really the first step. But I'd be so curious, you know, what is the number that you see for yourself? What number do you desire? And it's really interesting, you know, could you let yourself double that? Would you feel safe with that? So anyways, so that's the first one. And when I got really clear on my number, it started to show up. And I had to be open also, this is another thing, be open to it showing up in other forms than just like how you think it's going to show up. You know, I think I thought it was going to come through one specific way, like at the time, like clients. But you know what? Abundance in that form was showing up in so many different ways, like the people around me super abundant, free experiences that just landed kind of in my lap, bills being lowered or randomly paid that I didn't even know I paid, but apparently, it's just been a very interesting journey to see. I've had like credit cards randomly just like be like they have no balance anymore. It was just weird, you guys, weird stuff. So but you have to be open to abundance showing up. But I think once you get really clear, on what you want, then that's when it can start to show up. So that's okay. I'm like beating a dead horse. That's the first one. The second one, I've already touched on it a little bit, but it's also doing the intrinsic work. Like, do I believe I'm worthy of receiving the amount that I say that I want? It's kind of like when you say affirmations. And when you say, let's say you repeat an affirmation, because, affirmations are good, right? They make you feel good. It's positive words flowing in intentionally. They're a good thing. But if you don't believe it within your body, like if no part of you believes the words that you're saying, then I hate to say this, and I know that this goes against a lot of beliefs, but it's actually kind of pointless, because what it's doing is it's creating this energy output of saying, I don't actually believe I'm worthy of that. I have coffee with this big straw over here and I just knocked it down. It's saying, I don't actually believe I'm worthy of that. So it's almost like you'd rather just be silent and not force these affirmations, because the energy that you're putting out is like disbelief energy, creating more resistance, pushing the thing further away from you than what what you're trying to do. So it's kind of that like that push that I was talking about before, that push pull, like that you're pushing the thing away from you that you most want. So it's really important to just really understand how to, do you believe you're worthy, and start doing the digging, investigation work, asking yourself that question, and then writing it out and even meditating on it. That question, do I believe I'm worthy of the specific XYZ number that I want? That investigation right there can change your entire life, because what that does is that helps you build a new foundation with you. And then again, you're the source, the stronger your foundation, the more grounded, the more you feel like you deserve what you want, the faster it can come in. So that's the other thing. Oh, and then the other thing I wanted to share too, on just when you get clear, I wrote this example down and I just love it. If you're like, well, I don't really know, I can't get clear on the number I want, I feel overwhelmed. I want you to also think about, if you were ordering food at a restaurant, if you just said, I would love some food, please, they'd be like, well, what do you want? I can give you anything, but if you don't get specific, you're going to get what you get, And it's the same thing with money and manifesting anything that we want. Get super clear and be in control of your order. Being in control of the order that you're putting out. You actually get to choose. How annoying is it to go out to eat with people and they're like, I don't really care. It's like that conversation gets old after a while. Somebody make a decision. You know what I mean? So be the one that makes the decision. But anyways, okay, going to topic number 3, or tip number 3. Okay, so this one is more tangible, I would say. Don't be afraid to ask for more money, ask for the promotion. I've had people that, I've told them oh, I just got a promotion. They're like, oh my gosh, how long have you been waiting to get that promotion? I said, as long as it took me to ask, because when you're doing good work, when you're deserving of more money, you just know. And so, I think it took me a while, building confidence within myself, to do that, but you don't get what you don't ask for. So it's really important to know, you can ask for more money. Sometimes the only reason we don't have more is because we don't ask for it. Same thing with anybody who's owns a business. If you want to make more, price your stuff more. And then you know what you do? You add more value to the offer that you have, so that you feel safe and confident in charging what you want to charge, because without a doubt you offer so much value that it is worth that. That's the minimum it's worth, So you have to just start empowering yourself. And I would say, to feel more confident, to start asking for more, it really takes going down to the basics, the foundation. And a lot of times that is just starting really, really small. And it's building a relationship with yourself to the point where you really trust yourself. So doing like little things every single day, like following through on every single thing you say you're going to do. If you've ever heard of the Four Agreements by Paulo Coelho, I never say his last name correct. But one thing that he says, be impeccable with your word. Be impeccable with your word, not only to others, but to yourself. You know, asking yourself, like, can I trust myself to follow through on the things I say I'm going to do, regardless of how small? It could be making your bed, vacuuming, being ready by the time you say you're going to be ready by, finishing the project when you say you're going to do it, or actually getting started on it when you say you're going to start it. You know, those little things will build confidence over time to where you start to feel really empowered within the self. And when you start to feel really empowered within the self, it's amazing the things you now feel capable of doing. And if asking for more money and a raise has been something on your heart for a while, that is going to be, you know, something that you'll probably feel safer to go for and try and do. So, so I want to encourage you to know that sometimes it can be like having more money can be as simple as asking for it. That, like, take that in. Sometimes that literally is the thing, is like asking for more. And if for some, and sometimes, you know, you have to be delicate with that conversation. It's not always like, I want more money, please. It's like, say, hey, you know, I am really interested in a raise or a promotion. What is the path to get there? And here's how much I want to make. You know, going in, you know, like having some tact about it, but having a plan, like really thinking about it. Like, this is how much more I want to make. This is why I believe I deserve this amount. I'm gonna, like, this is what I want, but I'm open, you know, if I need to do more, like create a path, like work with my managers to create a path to get there by a specific date, and then hold them to that, right? On that date, check in with them and say, hey, where are we at? Even before that, say, hey, like, I just want to make sure we're on track, you know, for the date that we said. Owning your authority in the situation, knowing that you can. That's honestly one of the things I have done throughout my career in corporate for the last 7 years, and it has served me well. And not only that, but it increased my confidence in what I was doing, because another avenue that I haven't talked a lot about is that I battled imposter syndrome for a really long time, and so I think being able to just practice using my voice more, speaking for more of what I want, realizing that a lot of the imposter syndrome was just stories in my head that I was listening to over and over again, to the point where it was like unconscious. I didn't even realize it sometimes. That, like, when you can start to, just express yourself, allow yourself to feel safe, build that relationship with you, you start to feel more confident. And when you start to feel more confident, you start to know your worth. And when you start to know your worth, you start to ask for more of what you want, because you know you're deserving of it. I really think that one is super important. And just something like, practice, if you're afraid to ask for the money you want, practice being consistent in, you know, following through for yourself every single day. Follow through for yourself on the little things and build it up and watch what happens. Okay, the last piece I wanted to share on this is, they're also important, but this one is huge. You have to get really honest with yourself about, you know, career. That's a big form of how people are making money, right? It doesn't have to be the only avenue to receive money, as I've already kind of touched on, but you have to be really honest with yourself. You know, as a recruiter for 7 years, something that I notice is a lot of times when people are experiencing the uphill battle of the career that they want, just like for some reason, the job search is just like, they're not seeing success, or they're for the first time ever, like, things just aren't happening or falling into place. It's because, like, resistance is showing up because they're, like, it turns out a lot of them haven't really been honest about what they really want to do in their career. So they're hitting kind of the standstill. And what that standstill is doing is it's forcing them, if they pay attention to it, to ask themselves some really deep questions, like, do I actually want this? You know, a lot of people say they want things because of XYZ outside person reason, logistic thing that makes sense for why they should want the thing, but they haven't actually tuned in with themselves what they actually want. And when you start paying attention and making changes on what you actually want, and you get really real, stuff starts to flow in easier, because it's just like what I was talking about at the beginning. It's that alignment piece. You are in alignment with yourself and your source. So things can flow to you because you're ready to receive it, right? You're at that level where, it can come in easier. But when you're at a low vibe place, in a job you don't even like, but you're lying to yourself, saying you want to climb that ladder, but really you don't, it's, of course, you're not going to receive things easier, because there's that resistance just always there. You're constantly at the lower vibe when the thing you want is up here. You're not to it yet. So you've got to let go. Sometimes you have to let go, and you have to be willing to do that, and knowing that to receive more takes letting go, and letting go of more too. Letting go of more of what's not serving you to receive more of what is. Those are the key things that I really think are so important. And I think I thought I was being honest with myself. I was like, oh yeah, I'm like not in love with my career, but like I'll just, I'll find happiness at this new company, or I'll find happiness like climbing the ladder. Like I'll move into management, that'll make me happier. Really, that wasn't what was going to make me happy. Doing things on my own, creating my own career, impacting women's lives in the way that I've always wanted to receive, help myself, like creating that platform for people is what I always wanted to do. And when I finally started to move towards that, alignment started to come in, abundance started to flow in, like, things like I've been sharing with you started just happening more naturally. The creative clarity of the ways I want to move forward started coming in. But it was only when I got really real with myself and said, okay, I don't necessarily want to do this career forever. I can admit that. But now I'm going to start moving towards the thing that I want. So even though the thing over here is still kind of happening, I'm now taking action steps towards the more aligned thing, and then the good is flowing in. So with that, what you'll notice, and I'm curious, what you guys notice about all four of those components, but what you'll notice is that none of what I said to receive more abundance and more money now was about working longer hours, working harder, feeling exhausted, no balance, like grinding, just doing more. It was all about inner work. It was all about moving in aligned directions. It was all about getting really clear, connecting with your inner world, your mindset, like doing more of that, doing more of that, and then creating more confidence. So that way, when your inner world's aligned, then your outer world aligns too. So it was really more about that versus the thing that I think society tells us, which is working really hard all the time to receive more. Because logically that feels like it makes sense. But if you're working really hard in the wrong direction, you're literally like going against yourself. So it is worth taking time to seemingly slow down on the back end to then speed up, afterwards. So yeah, I will tell you, it's been I think this money abundance journey for myself has been like a 2-year process, working with some of the most incredible coaches, ever. Like they're amazing. And if you want some resources, let me know. I will send you their info. So it's been a process and a journey, but what I'm telling you is throughout those 2 years, this is the stuff that once it finally clicked, it started happening. So it doesn't need to take you 2 years, you know what I mean? Just take however long this video is going and really take this stuff to heart. You can turn years into 30 minutes of knowledge, less than 30 minutes. I'm going to cut this off soon. So anyways, so it's about empowered action that feels good to you, aligned action that feels good to you. So to recap, I want you to get really clear on how much you desire to make. I want you to answer, do I believe I'm worthy of receiving that amount? Why or why not? What comes up for me? Understanding that within the self. I want you to also start doing consistent actions daily to follow through for yourself, to build up that confidence so that you can ask for more money that you want. So start doing things so that you can start saying, this is what I want, and how do I get there? Really sticking up for yourself because you deserve to. Lastly, I want you to get really honest with yourself. Do I like the career path that I'm on? Why or why not? What do I want to do that's going to be more fulfilling? And then being willing to build that on the side. If you do not know how, we need to chat, because that is like my bread and butter. That's what I do. I've been building a business that's my dream business while also working a 9 to 5. Like, I understand how to get you there in a way that's going to help you expedite things and like have you spending your time in the right way, so you're not working 24/7. I've done this in a way that has balance. So I want to teach you that too. So if you're not sure, if you feel confused and lost on your journey and you need some help, we need to chat. So yeah, it's all about the inner world. Release the need to just do so much and focus on how do you be? How do you be? Really think of those things. So I would love to know your thoughts, as I keep saying. Any questions that come up for you as you're watching the replay, please put them in the comments. I will definitely answer. And then, more than happy, if we need to dive in deeper, we can do, one-on-one free strategy call. So happy to do that as well. But I love you, ladies. I hope that this was valuable. I will continue to do more of these because this is the kind of conversation that really matters. I really, really believe that. So, okay, my loves. Well, happy, Wednesday? Okay, signing off.